The boys are back in town. Another practice down for the Denver Nuggets. We've got injury updates, practice notes, and I hear it's a very special birthday for a very special boy in Denver. Not you, Eric. We'll reveal on the other side. This is the DNVR show. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, D-Line Co.
Whoa, thanks, dude.
And welcome back to the chat and all the silent listeners and watchers out there. Welcome in to the DNVR Nuggets show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code DNVR365 when you sign up. Choose your offer and find out why. Whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. We are hanging out in the Toyota Lounge. Still technically, unofficially, the winner's lounge, right? Like the winning streak isn't over, right? That's what it's been for quite some time. So we're still calling it the winner's lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. And shout out to all of you hanging out in the Toyota chat. Let's go places. Actually, everyone stick around though. Stay here. The show just started. I am not alone today. I am joined by another fella back in town, back from abroad, back from the Serbian homeland.
Yeah.
It's Eric Weedham.
Oh, I thought you meant back from like hanging out with my broad. Back from abroad.
Yeah,
dude.
that's what I meant. Totally.
That's what I mean.
Good.
Yeah, dude. I went back.
That's what I meant about your fiance. Sure.
I went back to abroad. We hung out. I left. Literally every time I go now, I don't leave. I literally don't leave the room. And that not like in a right, yeah. Not like in the MTV Cribs where they show the bedroom. Like this is where the magic happens. It's like this. I'm like a prisoner, but like in pajamas, and it's awesome.
You're just working on like an 8-hour delay, but in pajamas.
I don't see I literally do not see the sun for a week. And
That's a good vacation.
I'm oddly content the whole time.
It works
by
for
the
you.
end. By the end, I get here and I'm like,
How are our friends in Serbia? Any big changes over there since we last left them?
Well,
actually, there have been, but we don't have to get into like the ins and outs.
None of her family speaks English, so every time I walk into a room, it's like a little child walks into it, and everyone cheers. They're like, "Yeah," because they don't know how annoying I am.
Yeah, that's. They have yet to learn that this is not something to celebrate.
Dude. Yeah, not something that like I get from the people who understand what I'm saying. But all the same, good to be back.
Shout out to our brothers and sisters in Serbia. Did you see from the Netflix doc about the Olympics? There's a clip going around about the Serbian locker room, quote, in shambles from KD.
In shambles.
That's just what it sounds like when Serbians hang out together. It did sound dramatic, but that's also just Lycos ordering breakfast on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? It all kind of takes on that vibe of intensity.
Yeah. Well, like I'll hear like the way that my broads family will interact with each other, and like I'll be like, "Oh, that sounded fine," and they'll be like, "Oh, he told her to shove it up her ass or something." I'm like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah.
So yep.
That's just how Coach Pesic talks. Everything's really dramatic.
Totally.
Kevin Durant is also really good. Both things are true. Well, Eric, this morning before you and I reconvened, I went to a Denver Nuggets practice.
Wait, you didn't introduce our other panel.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I'd like to introduce also joining us today my boss and my good friend Harrison Wind.
What's up, everybody?
The man with the wind in his hair. Wow, neutral clothes again today, Harrison. Come on, man. Grow up. All right, well, back to scheduled programming. All jokes aside, some real reason Harrison's not here. Not his fault, but we are going to make fun of whoever can't make it every time.
Yep.
We're going to do it. All right, well, I did get some notes, some updates on the Denver Nuggets who practiced today. I thought, man, it seems early for a practice. They don't play till Thursday. Well, it's Wednesday, Eric, so that's why. Yeah. Thursday, It's already here, man. The season is back. And let's start with some housekeeping stuff. Injuries, an injury report. Do you remember Deron Holmes II, the rookie, the draft pick, the Mile High Flyer? We were out in Vegas. We watched him go down with the Achilles injury.
Yeah, that was tough. We saw. Did we even get a full quarter?
We did. We got almost a full game, but we unfortunately also had a great a terrible view of that terrible incident. And we can fast forward now, Eric, where we've got a positive update. Deron Holmes II, the Mile High Flyer, participated in parts of practice today, per Michael Malone. Doing a slow everyone's roll right off the bat. He is still expected to miss the rest of the season. Malone answered a question about that. We can also just kind of connect the dots. He is a rookie, still has to get healthy, still has to get in game shape, and then he would be working his way onto the court for a contender. That's extremely, extremely unlikely. Go so far as to say it's not going to happen. But
let's dream, though.
Let's dream, right? And also let's celebrate, because it's still a milestone for a young player in his recovery process. And young though he is, a milestone not guaranteed to anyone who undergoes that injury.
Well, listen, we have a couple of things on our side. Obviously, the advance of medical science is to a point where an injury like that in the past would have sort of been an early death toll for his career. But he's young, and we have like great procedures, and people come back from this all the time. And I know, like, yeah, he's not going to play this season, but like, what if he did? What if he was the bigger?
I mean, it's a great sign for him playing next season, man. I mean, he has put the work into the rehab process. We know it was important to him right off the bat. He and his dad talking to, giving each other lists of players that have had this injury and made a full recovery. Wanted to put his head in that space, has worked hard, and yes, we will probably almost certainly not see Deron Holmes II in uniform on the court. He was in fact on the court today, and Malone said it was a real sort of milestone to celebrate for the guys as well. He says all the players were really excited to see him back out there and on the floor. So that was really cool. And not the only injury update we got, Eric. This one perhaps more germane to the rotation. We'll wait and see. Vlatko Čančar also participated today in practice. I think most of practice was the Vlatko deal, working his way back, of course, after yet another procedure. Vlatko participated in practice, potentially an option, Eric, down the stretch here.
Did you actually witness him playing? Or
I did not. No, I just got the secondhand relay.
Man, this is another thing. Like, I want to get excited about this, but I've been hurt in the past.
Sure. I mean, with Vlatko,
I've been hurt in the past about him being hurt in the past.
I think that's how he feels as well.
I would love, what a story if Vlatko came back. I mean, like, listen, that's the funny thing about the Denver Nuggets is like we're coming off of the trade deadline. Everyone's angry. We didn't make any moves. We don't have any draft capital. What are we doing? Like, our draft capital, we actually have players that they used their draft capital to trade in for.
Deron Holmes II was supposed to play.
That was that was our draft capital. It was like our guy. Man, I would, if that was the whole story coming into this year, is like they actually had like 3 levels of a way to try to deal with the backup 5, and 2 of them, even before the season began, essentially like just were eliminated.
This is not happening.
And then the third one was Dario Saric, and like he's not really gotten a free or much of an opportunity to show his wares, and when he has, like, it hasn't looked great. But man, like I don't know. Let's dream, shall we?
Let's dream. I mean, I think with Vlatko, part of what's happened here is good to have him back. Zeke's playing well. So that's a Zeke slot right now, right? I wouldn't necessarily hold my breath to see Vlatko, but anything can happen. We've seen Malone give him chances before. Seems to play fairly well when he has extended a runway, but these injuries just keep, eliminating that runway for him or taking it out from under his feet, and he has to start all over again. Can say Vlatko, one of the most positive guys on the team. Saw him,
friend of the program,
dude. I saw him about a month ago. I said, "How you doing, man?" He's like, "Great." Didn't even realize. It's like, what are you asking for? Life's
he's
good,
awesome. And we got to hang out with him, and it was as delightful as you might imagine.
No kidding.
I walked him through the merch cave. He was like, he thought it was cool, I think. I don't know. But he
pretended like that's
his failed attempt at an air horn and doing the crazy honk sound effect is
kind of like a goat.
Is an all-time DNVR moment. It
we
really
gotta bring
is.
that up. We got to make that a drop. I've instructed Kale that I'd like more drops in this show.
I've gathered some. I have an overtime buzzer. We're doing the Dev Shred'em thing now.
Okay. I want a thing where it's like all, out of nowhere, it's like, oh, the Nuggets are good, or some dumb thing that one of us has said, but like a Vlatko honk or something.
Got more injury updates. Russell Westbrook is not only participated in practice today, he is off the injury report. Ooh. Russell Westbrook is not listed previously with that left hamstring strain. He's good to go. He's active, expected to play.
Let's get into that.
And then Michael Porter Jr. also participated in practice today. In fact, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Aaron Gordon are all probable now on the injury report. Probable to play, expected to play, still on the injury report. Just for housekeeping's sake, Jamal Murray, left knee inflammation. Michael Porter Jr., left hamstring strain. And Aaron Gordon, right calf injury management. All probable. Only Peyton Watson was unable to go in practice today.
Dang.
Educated guess, I think Peyton is still about a week and a half to 2 weeks out, barring any setbacks. So remember, there already was a setback, which gave us that 4-week timeline. We're roughly halfway through it. So no Peyton today, but a lot of good news on the injury front.
Dang. That's been a real color of this season that we've talked about, but I think when we look back, the impact of the injuries that this team has had in the first half has been insane. It really, and the fact that they are where they are right now, obviously benefiting from an insanely hot stretch going into the break here, but like your Denver Nuggets are like, I don't know, man. I don't think that they're just like hanging around. Like they're
possibly coming into form at the right time.
I think dude.
There are some quotes about that from some of the players as well, and we'll get to them. Just a couple more things from Malone. He really liked the way they played heading into the break. He called it taking care of business. Yes, those were inferior teams. My words, not his. Or teams missing some guys.
Yes.
But the Nuggets did what they had to do in those games.
Professional.
They took care of business. That said, Malone is very excited to measure themselves against the other best teams in the league, which they know they're going to face more of here in the second half. So it's a harder stretch of schedule, but one that, any real competitor should be excited for. Malone, certainly that is the case. And with guys getting healthy, Eric, the big question would be, particularly Russell Westbrook healthy, what does that starting lineup look like? Will it be Russell Westbrook? Will it be Christian Brown? One reporter, Bennett Durando, was brave enough to ask Michael Malone. Good question. A good question that Michael Malone laughed and said, you don't really think I'm going to answer that right now, do you?
He's like, shut up.
Yeah, he's like, I'm actually not going to give you that answer. But he did say this. He looks at it as a good thing that he has a tough choice to make. It's a tough choice, but that's a good spot to be in as a team. Two players that could definitely help them regardless.
Let's chop it up.
So
what say you?
I've talked about this a little bit with the fellas, while you were overseas, man.
Oh, I thought I was part of the fellas.
No, you are. You just
I was with my
here.
broad.
Yeah, she doesn't watch the show, right? That's how you guys met. Oh, okay.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, you might want to dial it back in.
So, all right.
I think it should be Christian Brown with Russ coming off the
Gosh,
bench.
I know. I'm so conflicted. So conflicted. It really is the dynamic of the season. We've been kind of miserable. Not like last year. Remember we were miserable all last year?
While they won 57 games.
Unable to feel joy, unable to see anything other than, like, we got into big rings mode. We, like, couldn't appreciate the season.
Very true, man.
This season has been really very interesting. There's been a lot of dynamics at play. As Adam likes to do, chop it up into chapters. There's been a lot of chapters.
A lot of chapters.
There's been
footnotes.
Yes,
you know what I mean? A lot of asterisks.
Yes, like there's been the Russ-led portion of the season. There's been the Jamal resurgence. There's been this guy, Aaron Gordon's out. Zeke coming back. I was very bullish and very, like, strong-headed on the idea that Russell Westbrook should be the guy that starts, just because of, like, what he's able to bring to Jamal Murray specifically.
But then he goes down and Christian looks
amazing.
Then he goes
down and then Jamal Murray gets awesome.
Right.
Bro, I don't know what to do.
What do you think Malone will do? I'll put you on the spot before we had to break.
I kind of think Malone favors playing a veteran over a 2 or 3 year player. But I also kind of think it's going to be, we're going to be talking about this, like, who's going to be the starter, and it won't really matter because it's going to be a mixture of people on the courts all time, and it's like,
and the
starter by
going to
name
play
only.
a lot, and it's not really like
I don't think
it
actually matters.
Sure. Yeah, I get what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
There's going to be staggering to such a degree that it's like,
those are your top 6 guys.
I don't even know what it means to be a starter. Other
maybe
than
it means
Jokic
slightly less time with Jokic for us, but hey, Kill, maybe that's a good poll when I hit the break, if you want to put it up, just who the chat thinks should start.
Yeah, dude.
Christian Brown, or Russell Westbrook, just to give you one more thing to do, Kel.
We did that on Friday's
Do
show.
it again.
Oh, we did. Never
Kel, what are you
mind.
doing?
We did.
Put a drop. Play a drop.
Do a different poll. You get to make it up. Anything you want. Anything you want at all. We'll talk more about practice notes we heard from Julian Strawther and Nikola Jokic, the two All-Star Weekend representatives for the Denver Nuggets. And we'll talk about what they had to say on the other side of the break. How about that?
Yeah.
You like that? A little physical. I don't know if it's comedy per se.
We're back to the break.
Oh, and we're back. Hey, have you ever heard of full body deodorant? You know what I mean? Full body odor care.
I think you know that I haven't.
Yeah, I think we can all agree. The two of us, not our shining area. But the thing about men's deodorant and men's body odor is that, yes, your armpits do smell. Yes, they do get really sweaty. They are a very small part of your body. And just applying a little stripe of deodorant, you probably did not do the whole job. This is where Mando comes into play. Mando is a company that overtly calls out the more colorful parts of men's bodies, Eric. Not just the pits, but also belly buttons, balls, butt cracks, grundles, munders, and more.
Dude.
Their scents are geared towards men with options like bourbon leather, Cloverwoods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport. Yeah, man, it is about the whole body, so you can be feeling fresh head to toe when you walk outside the front door.
In 1 year's time, people don't refer to my grundle as the Cloverwoods, I've done a bad job.
I really hope they don't. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, like a mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Right now, there's a special offer for our listeners. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That's ShopMando, M-A-N-D-O, shopmando.com. Use code DNVR. Support them, support us. Tell them we're the ones that sent you, if you don't mind. And talk about Bet365, where it's never ordinary. We are live at least 5 times a week between the DNVR show and the post-game shows. But if you don't know, now you do. We're also live 30 minutes before every game on what we like to call the pregame show.
We do love to call it.
Yeah, very pregame lounge.
Little on the nose. We don't care.
It's kind of our thing. And when we're doing that show, we wrap them up by tossing it to Superstar Dev. Kale, toss it to Superstar Dev.
Yeah. Dev, what
do you get? Oh, okay. Not there. But if he were there, he would be handing out some winners at Bet365, where it's never ordinary. You don't have to play with us. You can play with us. And if you do want to play with us, you have to download Bet365 and use code DNVR365 when you sign up. It's never ordinary there. They're official partners of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. They're going to toss you tons of offers, early payout offers, DNVR custom boosts, tons of stuff. Open an account right now. New customers get $100 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. You have to be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions do apply. Let's get back to those show notes. We heard from Jokic, the birthday boy. And for whatever reason, collectively as a media corps, we just decided to induce an existential crisis. It was like 17 questions. Like, hey, man, you're getting older. Can you tell?
Dude, you induced it in me.
Each time he goes like, yeah, I can tell. I really don't like it. I really don't want to talk about it. And we were like, cool. Follow-up question.
Do you remember?
You're still old. What do you think?
I know, dude. Like, everybody I know now, all of you young people that I've been working with are now like turning 30. And like every time it's like, oh, I'm 30.
Like it's some
I'm
death
out of my
sentence.
20s.
Yeah.
And like it's like a big deal. But then when you're at, like, you know that, but then asking Jokic is like, we don't care. We're like, oh, how is it to be older in a profession that ends when you're like 35, 37?
You actually are asking him
Yeah,
about
dude.
like a certain mortality that's approaching.
Yes, that you yourself are not dealing with.
Well, luckily we all hit it like 15 times. No, we just asked birthday questions. They were all good questions. But Jokic was in a existential mood, you can say. On the Nuggets, though, no one asked about a mentality shift, if there will be one on the other side of the break. He said, if it's going to change, I think this is the time to change for sure. This is when you start playing the way how you want to play. You start playing 40 minutes, complete game. It's a funny quote. The timing is funny because it's a good one, but they sure did in 8 games heading into the break. They've kind of had that focus. But as we know, better teams coming up here, Eric. And I just like the way he said, start playing the way you want to play 40 minutes. I think Jokic has a real just kind of biological clock for the season. and what it calls for from him in terms of like energy exertion, what he has to give. And just sounds like he's identified this as a stretch to really kind of turn it on.
Well, first off, shouts to Jokic for being on board with Adam Silver's program to cut quarters down to 10 minutes, apparently. I'd love for them to play 48 minutes if possible. I can't wait though, dude. Like, yes, let's go. Let's go. Let's kick it into gear. And mercifully, last year they learned, like, it's good to turn it on, but like, let's do it within reason, because let's not burn ourselves out going down the stretch. It's actually like kind of nice that there is such a chasm between them and the Oklahoma City Thunder, so they don't feel like they have to sprint to try and get the number one seed, because it's kind of already off the table. So they can sort of like pace themselves, but still, like, they're going to get the 2 seed. Like, they are the second best team. That the Denver Nuggets are your number 2 seed. I'm calling it right now, but they don't have to stretch in the same way. But I do love the idea that there's a natural break in the season that is not the actual halfway, even though it feels like it is.
Yeah, it's really not.
Yeah, it's like the 3/4 break, but it like really in the minds of everybody, it's like, okay, business time. Like, we're not joking around anymore. Like, let's go. Like, it's time to lock in. We got to really figure this out. So I'm ready for it, brother.
Porter has said as much in the past. It's like, obviously everyone wants to be locked in the full time, but there really is an intensity when you come back from the break of like, all right, man, party time's over. All the vacations are out of the way.
Yeah.
This is what we're doing.
I'm in, man. I'm locked in. I'm like really, really jonesing for a Denver Nuggets basketball game.
Me too, man. They needed the rest, but I wanted that streak to keep going. I want to watch these guys play. On not getting the same break that everyone else got, Jokic said, it's just part of the business, part of the job. I'd rather be somewhere else. But hey, it's a blessing and a curse. So.
Is it a blessing?
Yeah.
Can I tell you my thoughts on the All-Star game without going into I guess
go for it.
Fully going into old man mode. Here's what I've realized is that about what the NBA has done to themselves is that they have set such an unserious tone to all things, particularly the All-Star break. It is so deeply unserious. It is so deeply, as you put it the other day, there's so much ad space that they have filled that it is like you can't possibly, as a professional, get excited about trying to win the starry 3-point
presented by, hosted by.
And like, I was thinking about it while I was on the plane, and I was like, should the coaches wear suits again? Like, they need to like bring it back to a point where the NBA has presented itself in such a casual and unserious way, and without even, I don't even think it's conscious. It's just the players are responding in kind. It's like when when it's casual Friday every day, like people, they start kicking off your shoe. Yeah, right. You're like, for us, like, we're idiots, we're bums.
Right.
Like,
no, but it does.
But people don't take us seriously at times.
But we also are certainly reinforcing each other.
But the point being, like, number one, here's what has to happen. Here's how you get the All-Star game to be more serious if you really want it to. Number one, they have to fire Adam Silver. He has ushered in a very, like, the tenor and the way that the NBA is approached under his leadership has slipped so much. They have to rebrand themselves. They have to come in. They need round ball rock. They need all of these things that feel regal and high and worthy of respect. And Jello is not like that. You know what I mean? Like, the shit that they do, like everything that they do is like so not respectable. It's all empty hype, all of it.
Yeah.
And they've killed themselves. They've ruined their brand. And like, the players respond in kind. So I'm old and I'm mad, and listen, I want the NBA to be respected again, and it's just not. And they've done it to themselves.
I feel where you're coming from. And I think for me, the biggest thing is just, I could even live with this just being a dumb, silly game that doesn't mean much. And there's a few windmill ducks if it was just the game, right? But I have to sit through the equivalent of an Oscars broadcast to feel like I participated in NBA weekend as a basketball fan. And the amount of time between game 1 to game 2, right, in the actual All-Star tournament, maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And to me, that was like, I get that that's all this really is now. It's just a vehicle for ads, but then I'm just not going to watch.
Yeah.
I could even deal with it being watered down and not that great if it was quick. And there were just some moments I could enjoy and laugh and have on in the background. But dude, like I didn't need to take all that in, you know?
No, and that's the thing. Like, I don't care. I mean, the All-Star game is not important. It doesn't need to be like an absolute grinded out battle. It doesn't need to be a war. But I think more than anything, it's just a culmination of all the mistakes that the NBA has made, and it's all in one stage. And you just look at it and you're like, "What is this? Like, what happened to the game I love?"
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. It was a little, and like I don't even think we've got some younger people in the office who are like, "Dude, the Mr. Beast stuff isn't even hitting for me," and I'm the target demo, you know. So listen, everyone's got thoughts on it. I just can't believe how long it took, man. I can't believe how long it took. Let's get back to these game notes real quick because there are a lot of them. Great rant. Very welcome.
Thank you.
Jokic was asked what he's doing to celebrate his birthday. Here you go. This should cheer you up, Eric. He said, "Nothing. I don't like my birthday." That's a real quote. Why? Why does he not like his birthday? I'm getting older. Going back to I'm getting older, man. Jokic not feeling the getting older thing.
There's not been one person in the history of planet Earth that has welcomely ushered in their 30th birthday.
Yeah, it's just not a fun one. You're going to feel, by the time you get to 31, you don't care.
You don't care at all anymore.
But 30 is tough.
And how old are you?
31.
Okay, so you're going to be 31 until somebody reminds you that you're actually 34.
Yeah, that's why I just said I might be 32 already. I'm going to have to double check that.
I'm like, I honestly don't know how old I am right now. Like, I tell people a different number all the time, not because I'm being funny or coy. I don't remember.
Right. No, I believe you. More of these for Jokic. Has he gotten wiser since he was 20? I don't know. I don't even think about it. I don't know. On getting older, I really don't want to think about it because it makes me sad.
This is brutal.
And then he did also say, "You guys are all dinosaurs." Because I think Vic Lombardi joked, like, if you're getting older, like, we're old. And he goes, "No, you definitely are. You guys are all dinosaurs." I tried to change the subject. He said, "How old are you?" I said, 31. He said, "You're old."
So a follow-up question, what happens when we die?
Yeah, I know, exactly. Hey, when you turn to dust, what do you know? So then he's like, "You're old." I'm like, "Hey, man, I'm not. I don't argue. I'm just, listen."
Hey, a third follow-up question. Have you thought about everyone that you love and all of your family members dying someday as well?
Would you even want to live forever? Watch it all pass you by? Anyway, a lot of questions of that nature for Jokic, who was joking about it all. But yeah, definitely in an existential mood today. I asked him about, did you see the clip where he asked Victor what he's doing? And he said,
yes.
"I'm reading a book," and Jokic just starts cracking.
I've never felt more in tune with somebody that I love.
I asked him about that, and he goes, "I was just messing with him, man." He goes, "I actually used to read books before games." I said, "I used to bring a book for like 2 or 3 years." He goes, "But it was the All-Star game, so I was just messing with him." I like that.
So great.
And then on the Nuggets, he said, oh, actually, I asked him about greatness because we always ask him about him getting better, what goes into him getting better. And I said, how much of it is work versus talent or these magical qualities? And he goes, you have to be pretty talented. It does start that way. He goes, and I got some talent from the guy upstairs. But work is something that helps you master your craft. And then from there, it's about your teammates. So Jokic really sees it, the holistic picture. Just thought that was kind of an interesting one. Perhaps the most interesting quote about the Nuggets: do you feel like the team is in a much better place now than it was to start the season? And he said, even at the beginning of the season, I knew it would be a little different and I knew we would struggle. And I think that's a good thing. Now we know we are getting better and we can still get better. We are still improving. He said, I knew it was going to be bumpy the whole time. So that was a really cool quote. And I thought, and then when asked if that was trying on his patience, he said, I think I'm a patient person in basketball. Maybe not in life, but in basketball for sure. So definitely the big quote there on Jokic from the Nuggets.
I love it, man. This is like every time that we get a comment or whatever about like, oh, trade Jokic, you're wasting his prime, blah, 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 like, because they lost 2 games in a row. Like, you got to see the bigger picture here, man. There's some things happening with this Denver Nuggets team. Mercifully, Jokic is able to see it and has the right perspective, and maybe you, the viewer, myself included, can take a little from that.
You know, it's kind of funny. We we did that in the pregame, in the preseason stuff. We all kind of prepared ourselves for a bumpy ride, and then the second it got really bumpy, we were like, "Wait a second,
this thing's bumpy as hell.
This is not the ride I signed up for." We'll keep going with more quotes from Julian Strawther. We'll talk about Jokic's birthday, Deron Holmes II, Christian Brown, and more
topics
on the other side of this break.
What person would tune out at this point, knowing all those topics that are coming?
Not these guys and gals. Let's tell you that right now.
Stay tuned.
What time is it, Kale Sorbonne? It's a long, dramatic pause. It's Miller time.
Whoa!
It's not your fault. I thought I timed it well, and I didn't.
Seems like it was maybe Miller time a few minutes before the show started for old Kale.
For old Kale. Well, you know what? When there's no Miller time, you can't be early or late. As long as you have a Miller, you're right on time.
Dude,
you know what
Miller
I mean?
time, just like Wizards time, it arrives exactly when it intends to.
Precisely when he means to. Great callback.
Thanks, bro.
Not sure. Very little to do with Miller Lite. We're just going to say Miller Lite a lot. Hopefully that gets through to your brains. All jokes aside, I still like drinking a beer with my fellas, with the buddies at a bar every now and then. Ooh. The problem is, as mentioned earlier in the show by Jokic, I'm old now.
Yep.
And if I drink the wrong kind of beer, well, I get fatter.
Yep.
Like instantly, on the spot. That's why I turned to Miller Lite. Miller Lite is the original light beer, the best tasting light beer. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Many have tried, many have failed to emulate the great taste of Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/DNVR to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. You've seen Miller Lite before. Tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. And shout out our friends at Red Hawk Roofing. They started, look, they're DNVR's big time roofers, right? It's been that way for a long time, but they're getting a little too big, bro.
The roof is the floor.
They're getting too big, bro. They're Nuggets sponsors now. Don't forget about us guys. Bro, don't forget about the little guys.
Honestly, like what is happening? Like,
can't believe it.
I can't believe we're getting big timed by our best friends.
I know.
Red Hawk
Don't
Roofing.
forget us when you're famous, fellas. All jokes aside, Red Hawk Roofing is blowing up because Red Hawk Roofing deserves to blow up. They're the best at what they do. Quality materials, decades of experience, quick response time, the best estimators and contractors, free no obligation roof and property inspections. Just think about that for a second. You don't know how bad the damage is till you get up there. You really don't want to go up there. The last thing you want to do is pay someone to go up there when, well, there's not much wrong. They know that this is an industry where you could be taken advantage of. That is not their bag. They want to have the best reputation here by word of mouth in Denver. So it's free. It's no obligation. Supporting your local teams means also supporting local businesses like Red Hawk Roofing. If you're looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing at redhawkroofing.com or call 720-771-8921 and tell them that DNVR sent you.
Yeah, not the Nuggets.
Not the Denver Nuggets. Tell them that it was DNVR.
That's right.
We also heard from Julian Strawther, who is out there, the other all-star representative for the Denver Nuggets, who said, I didn't see Jokic once, man. I figured that would be the case, but I did not see him once.
Yep. That's Serbia to Eric.
So if you were wondering, was it a big bonding weekend for Jokic and Strawther?
He says,
no. That's going to be a no from Julian. But it was nice to relax and spend some time with friends and some family. Julian's from Vegas, San Francisco, so I assume it was fairly easy for some folks to get out there. I asked him if it was nice to just be able to relax and be celebrated for a bit after a long, stretch of the season in the spotlight here in Denver. And he said, yeah, it was nice, but I'm ready to lock in, man. He's ready to be back. And when asked about his role in balancing being a really aggressive bench scorer, just a guy who's supposed to get shots up on a team that has big goals, he said, my goal is to eat, so I'm not going to complain if my plate is too full. Which is a great quote.
It is a good one.
I think I've heard that before. I tried to find out where it comes from.
Oh, yeah. We're trying to eat.
I thought it was maybe a rap lyric. The best the internet's given me is Steve Harvey. I don't know if that's right. But, he's said it. I know that much.
Yeah, we're trying to eat. I have heard that recently.
You can add Julian Strawther to the list. Great line. But yeah, man, he goes, look, I want to get shots up. That's who I am. That's what I do. So, yes, he knows when he's sharing the floor with Jokic, if he takes and makes a bad shot, it has more eyeballs on it, but it's a good spot to be in.
Julian's in a really good spot. He's been he's coming off of he's benefited as much as anyone by this winning streak that they've been on. Like his confidence is starting to swell.
Yeah,
he's starting to hit shots. Then he gets to go be part of the Rising Stars All-Star performance, and that was actually a good part of the weekend. Not that he played very long; they got eliminated immediately. But I just gotta feel like he is feeling upward motion, upward trajectory. I'm like very excited for where Julian is and where his headspace is right now.
Yeah, and hopefully cool just to get that announcement. Like, look, you are a rising star on our show. Look, we like Julian, right? But what's the conversation this year? Can he play in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Is he good enough?
Which we still don't know the answer.
Really, most of the conversation has been all the ways that he isn't good enough as a young player, which is it's a tough spot to be in. So probably cool for him to just, hey man, congrats on all your hard work. Congrats on what you've got done so far. Your future's bright for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Obviously, Julian Strawther's ability to be a playoff player is going to come down a lot to whether or not he's able to play defense in those settings. But I'm standing strong. I really think Julian Strawther is going to be Jordan Poole at a certain point. Probably not the entire time during the playoffs, but I am quite sold on the idea that there'll be at least one Julian Strawther game, just where he just comes in, he just lights it up.
And the other fan base is like, that guy?
Yes.
That guy?
Like the same way that Jordan Poole did to us. I feel strongly that Julian Strawther is going to do that to another fan base. And I can't wait. I want we were kind of talking earlier around the trade deadline. Adam said, and I agreed. I kind of thought moving Julian Strawther wouldn't be the worst idea to get somebody more of a seasoned vet in that could maybe provide a little bit of offense, but could also be counted on defensively. But now that the trade deadline has come and gone, I'm glad we didn't move him. I think that there's definitely foundational pieces that the Denver Nuggets have that I'm glad that the front office and ownership wasn't as reactionary as we all were begging them to be. And I don't know, Julian Strawther, it just feels like something is happening with him, and we're sort of moving to the next level.
The way we're looking at this team right now, understandably, is about winning this title, winning this year, winning what's right in front of you. And so we look at all the young players through that lens. For the sake of changing it up, Kale and Eric, why don't we put on our Shady Rays, so to speak, here and look at it through a different lens? How about the future? And we're talking about the future is bright here. Woo. By Shady Rays. Head to shadyrays.com and use code DNVR at checkout for 35% off polarized sunglasses. And I figured it's time to take a look at, ahead for a second, man, because we got that Deron Holmes, the second news today. And again, to clarify, almost certainly not factoring in this season, right? Almost. Let's say definitely.
So you're saying there's a chance?
No, even actually. Let me actually.
So you're saying there's no chance?
You're not going to see it. You're not going to, in any sort of meaningful minutes or anything like that. Maybe at the end of a garbage time so he can get those minutes in his rookie year. But, there's more. There's a long road here for Deron Holmes II. This is just one milestone. Having said that, man, as we talked about getting a backup big at the deadline and how the Nuggets have been unable to get a backup big, is your excitement for having one in the pipeline, one that they can develop as the backup in Denver, reinvigorated by this news?
Man, I was so excited going into Summer League. I was very excited to see what he had to offer. He's obviously needs to get bigger. He needs to fill out to be an actual defensive backup five in this league, or just a five in general. But we only saw him for a very short amount of time, and he played with energy. I remember his shot looking kind of unorthodox, but it went down a few times.
Good shot, bro.
Listen, that's the thing about this, is that it's been excitement interrupted. I have the same level of excitement. It makes me nervous that he's going into the start of his NBA career on the heels of such a brutal and, sometimes career-ending sort of injury. But like I said earlier, we're at the point where that is not the case anymore. Like, you can actually make a full recovery from this thing. So, yes, I'm super excited. Like, if De'Ron Holmes somehow made it into the play, I mean, listen,
he's not. He won't.
But I'm just imagining. Like, that's what the Nuggets need.
Hey, look to the future. Future can be bright too, right?
It is bright. Like, it's gonna, dude. I'm feeling very good about the, as I did when we drafted him. Like, they got, everybody in the world knew that they were going to draft De'Ron Holmes because it made sense. Like, that's a player that makes sense in Denver. Like, it is a position of need, and it's like a young, intriguing player that actually like aligns really well with the style of play that the NBA has, but just also what the Nuggets do. And he's a true stretch five. So I'm super excited about it.
Even to the other guys too, man. Julian, Peyton, Christian. Now Christian has really just fully arrived on the scene, but now that they haven't been traded at the deadline, you do think about, for whatever flaws they have right now, I actually do like all of them as prospects.
I know.
I think Julian's going to be a good player one day. I think Peyton Watson has the chance to be a big-time impact player on defense. We've seen it in flashes already. So, not just... Look, there's a big if in the middle here lingering, and it's winning the title, which is the most important thing, and it is a big if. But if you do, and you get through to the other side, having hung on to these assets, which was Calvin's plan, it's something to build on, to have for the future, and maybe not just play musical chairs with free agents. I'm not necessarily arguing it's the best path. I'm just saying that's where they're at now, and if they get through it, that's the benefit of this approach.
That is how you build something lasting in the NBA. Otherwise, you're the Phoenix Suns. You're one of these squads that's like, can we get Jimmy Butler? Like, you're the death rattle of the Golden State Warriors, who like had the two timelines, completely abandoned it, didn't get the right guy. All of these things where now they're in this completely untenable position where they don't know where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do. The Denver Nuggets, like, they have this level of continuity, and they actually have a vision, as annoying as it is when it feels like you are giving up the present for the future all the time. But we're not. Like, the Denver Nuggets have such a solid starting five that even though that's still kind of the fifth of that five is still up for debate, but there's not really a wrong answer.
It's a good starting five either way.
And then you just like have all these other guys that are sort of like moving up.
Right.
And if they can actually get to the level that we think they can, like, it just changes the conversation entirely.
Right. That's Booth's big gamble. That if he gets right, and again, it's an if. I'm just saying
it's a big if.
In the first half of the season, it was all sort of through the lens of, okay, well, when it's not working out, here's what you don't like about it. And it's just, for the sake of this segment, I think fun to look on the flip side of that coin, which is if it does, it's an investment in the years to come as well.
Yes, and the other worst thing you can do is where you have a team that gets old, ages, and flames out, and then you start up and you're the youngest team in the league, and you have nothing but 25 or 22-year-olds, and they don't know. There's no leader. It's the Houston Rockets. Like, you just like are rudderless for a long time, and then you're like kind of waiting for your guys to figure it out on the fly, but like you don't know that without like veteran leadership that they're ever going to like really figure it out, like, because they live and work in an echo chamber in a sense. So listen, man, like, it is most assuredly a big if, but it is an educated if that Calvin is operating under. And I don't think it's unrealistic at all to think that like the guys that he picked can actually pan out. There's nobody that I can look at and be like, that was a bust. That was a ridiculous pick. Like, the only one that you feel like a little bit nervous about right now is Hunter Tyson. But you're not like, that guy's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I'd still like to see more from Zeke for sure. But I get your point. Like, I understand. Like, now that they've sort of landed on their feet, there's value, I think, in sort of reevaluating the gambit here. Again, they still have to get it done.
They got to get it done, obviously.
And if they don't, we'll go right back to where we're the veterans. And I know that.
I will destroy this team. Bring up is the Calvin Booth a genius of me?
Kale, I know Harrison Wynn had some fun plans today, just about kind of taking a look at Jokic through the years. Unfortunately, those plans were not divulged to me. So, in a really fun turn of events, Kayla, you get to host the last 15 minutes of the show. Are you ready?
Don't make this ski themed, please.
Yeah, try to keep it to Nuggets.
Okay, so we're just going to look back at sort of the story of Jokic and how we got here because it's his 30th birthday.
So beautiful.
So let's start off with his teammates wishing him a happy birthday.
I bet this is going to be great.
2, 3. Happy birthday.
The young guys.
Is there anything worse than a group of adult men singing happy birthday to another adult man? No one, I can't decide who's more miserable, the people singing or the people receiving the song.
Definitely Jokic. He hated every second of it.
Did any of them singing sound excited?
No. Westbrook seemed to enjoy making the rookies and two-leg guys do stuff.
Yeah, because he knows that by his hand, everyone is miserable.
Look, all I'll say is it can be worse. Do you guys remember, and there was a lot of foreshadowing in this, this same video, but it was Bol was with the team, and he's standing in the background not singing, literally the most miserable person you've ever seen. And I remember thinking, I don't know if it's going to work out for Bol. I don't know.
My inkling is to maybe it wouldn't work out with Bol is when he didn't show up for Summer League and didn't tell the team.
These things all painted a picture.
And
over
then
time.
when we were out walking on this trip and we just saw Bol walking by and we were with some of the team and they were like, "Hey Bol, go watch some film." And he was like, "Ha!" Like it was a joke. The idea that he would prepare.
Yeah. Maybe you're starting to get an understanding of the Bol thing. What else do we got, Kel?
All right, so next, Wind was going to take us back to the moment it all started.
Let's do it.
That's
Time
Casey
With the
Speed.
41st pick in the 2014 NBA Draft, the Denver Nuggets select Nikola Jokic from Sombor, Serbia.
Great
He
pronunciation.
last played for
Except for Sombor.
Mega Vizura in Serbia.
Yeah, dude, congrats. Nikola Jokic.
Yeah. And then we
From
never
Sombor, Serbia.
how do you get that part right and the other part wrong?
This is the lost footage. This was
Yeah.
not televised.
That's right, non-televised. That's why it didn't look familiar.
No, yeah, we everybody else just got it through the commercial.
A beautiful, beautiful moment and a reminder that anything can happen at any point in the draft. And really, the only thing you don't want to tweet when someone makes a second round draft pick is
What a bust.
the Denver Nuggets will never win a title. Because had you tweeted that, hypothetically, it would have aged really poorly.
Can't stop
All right,
thinking about the moment that
what else do we got, Kel?
All right, so then we are bringing up this post from Blake Olson in 2023 when he said, "I can't stop thinking about a moment in the Nuggets press room a day after the 2014 draft. GM Tim Conley, shout out TC, had just introduced Yusuf Nurkic and Gary Harris. All three talked and answered questions. As all the reporters and photographers were about to pack up and leave, Conley said, 'Doesn't anyone want to know about Jokic?' Conley was excited. Jokic was still overseas. The rest is history."
It's a great anecdote.
Do you
man.
think he fielded any questions today? Like, "Hey, Tim, how do you feel about the greatest draft of all time that you just pulled off?"
Yeah. I'll text him right now.
He's like, "I feel pretty good."
Hey, Tim, if you could do it all over again, would you still draft Jokic in the second round? Considering the newfound perspective of the Mavericks on Luka's conditioning issues, would you go back in time and not draft Jokic just to cover all your bases?
All right, and then we have the greatest shot call in NBA history from Don Yates. PSA to the NBA, Nikola Jokic is coming over this year, picked by the Nuggets at 41 in 2014. He will dominate everything you have and laugh. And then he
Dang.
follows it up with, he's actually like the best 7-foot stiff passer ever, and he might play D well, and he might shoot threes, and he might be super awesome. 2015, this guy knew.
Man, I like the second stuff is great, but the best part about the first is no hedging. He's punching that stuff in all caps. He's punching it. He's like, and laugh, and you will suffer, and I will laugh at you for having not seen it coming.
I've told the story many times. I worked alongside a guy from Greece, and he was obviously very acquainted with the Adriatic League. So he was like, "Oh, bro, this guy." I was like, "Okay, I guess okay." So I was like in on the Jokic thing early because my guy John Till was like all about it. He's like
Locked in. Yeah.
He was locked. And so I was like, okay, we got ourselves a little MVP.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Amazing stuff.
All right, our next step in the story comes to us in the form of an article
Denver Stiffs.
on the Denver Stiffs, written by one Adam Mares. Does anybody know who that is?
Boo.
Boo.
Anyways, it goes on basically to say, yet while his numbers at Summer League don't jump off the page, 8 points, 6.2 rebounds, 1.4 blocks on 46% shooting, Jokic showed that he has quite a few promising skills that are extremely valuable and rare in today's NBA. Adam, calling his shot after the first Summer League.
I love the receipt off we all kind of do with like, actually, I knew before you about Jokic.
I'm ready for a good receipt. I mean, I drew shirts of Jokic way back in the day. I mean, like, if you want receipts, we got them, baby.
That's the thing is collectively, we can just all be right together.
Yeah, we can't like
we can just all be right together.
We can't out receipt each other, but we can out receipt you. I promise you that.
Yeah.
I just keep thinking about that quote from Russillo and Simmons' live show here when Russillo was like, you guys are the first fans in the history of basketball that were insanely annoying about your guy compared to how everybody else was talking about him. And you guys were completely right.
You were completely right. That was such a great line because that's exactly how I feel. Like, you're right. We're doing everything that all the, like right now, the SGA fans are saying stuff about how, you know, he could be one of the best players ever. And it's like, hey, man, we did that too. We got ahead of ourselves. But we were right. That's the thing. We were right. And you'll never take it away from us.
Nope.
I remember, dude, I was in Barney's Beanery.
Yeah, I've been there.
In Santa Monica. This one was in West Hollywood.
It's in West Hollywood. What are you talking about?
This one's in West Hollywood. No, there's another in Santa
All
Monica.
right, fine.
That's fine. This one was in West Hollywood. And I was hanging out and just watching some basketball, man. And this was around, it was somewhere around mid-December 2016. So there was a new starting center for the Nuggets. And gosh darn, I just thought he was a good man. So I went back the next time to go watch them play again in the same bar, and he was really good again. And I kept doing that until I threw everything in my car and left California forever.
Come at us with your receipts. You will lose, dude. We will out-receipt you on this show.
Or you'll win too. We'll win together. But everyone on the outside of this. Everyone on the outside of this.
We win.
You missed the best train ever, dude. The best train ever.
Wind goes on to cite the moment he sort of knew this guy was going to be special. He said Jokic's second game of his career, second Nuggets game of the season, his rookie year. Lost by 17 to Minnesota, but he had 10 points and 9 rebounds on 5 of 8 shooting. He was a plus 10 in only 18 minutes in a 17-point loss. There was a moment where Jokic got the ball in the paint, kicked it out to Barton for a corner three, and Mike Miller stood up off the bench and pumped his fist. And Wynn said that's when he knew.
Man.
Wait, so in the history of the Jokic lore, Wind included his own tweets?
Yeah, I love that.
Yes,
Shout out Wind.
Yep.
Extreme Wind move. By the way,
also not wrong.
Jokes we've made about his absence and what wasn't divulged to me, not his fault at all. Shout out Wind, who sometimes life can be unfortunate, and that's the case right now. But we appreciate everyone hanging out in the chat with us, making sure we don't get lonely today. Eric, very nice to have you back and hanging out, my friend. Before we get out of here,
wait, we've got one more video to show.
Look at that.
We've got one more video to show.
Like 8 more minutes.
Well, there was some super chats I was going to get to.
So this is from a Michael Malone quote that has become infamous after a win over the Raptors in February of Nikola's rookie season. Wind asked Michael Malone how high he thought Jokic's ceiling was, and then let's just hear what Moch has to say.
I know you've only seen half a season of Jokic, but how high is his
Harrison
ceiling
again.
in your mind?
Well, every time I think he's kind of reached his rookie ceiling, the game he had tonight, you can talk about some of these other young bigs who are all talented. You know, the kid in New York, Minnesota, and Philly. I don't know any of their names. I know this kid's name, though. I know Nikola Jokic, and I wouldn't trade him for anybody in the world.
I don't know any of their names.
Jokic's rookie season, I wouldn't trade him for anyone in the world. Based Moch,
man. Wow. Honestly, my biggest takeaway, psychopath stuff. Shaving the head down that far.
Dude.
You have hair, brother.
You
didn't know. To this day, he has hair.
But also, look, wearing a suit, a tie. I'm back. I was
back,
like, dude, I was like, coaches should wear quarter zips until I saw the All-Star game.
And then you're like, this is the line.
The coaches need to wear a 3-piece suit, like in a monocle. Like, they got to treat this thing with some goddamn respect.
I think we should go back to the Doug Moe 70s era where coaches got fits off better than the players even did, and they showed up wearing ridiculous things to the arena every night.
Doesn't have to be a suit, but it has to be a fit.
Yeah, like
Can't
get
just
a
be
fit
like
off.
a tracksuit.
Like, be Doug Moe and wear a pair of, multicolored patched overalls to
What
a
would
game.
Malone's
Why not?
thing be? Like just all dark black, maybe casino with the open collar.
Oh,
probably.
I could see like
a gold watch kind of deal.
Yes, dude.
Yeah. Well, we got to the bottom of that.
Yes.
That's an
Please.
all-time quote from Malone, who has had so many of those that weren't just good in the moment, also aged well. That could have aged poorly. Honestly, take that L on the way out could have aged poorly. Turned out to be like the rallying call of the Nuggets turning the tables on fate itself. Like just it all came together, man. It was awesome.
And here we are. Nikola Jokic is 30 years old today, and before his 30th birthday, he was a 7-time All-Star, a 3-time MVP, and a champion and a Finals MVP. What a ride it's been. It's been a blast. Thanks for being with us this whole time, chat.
Incredible, man. Incredible. And hopefully more to come, dude. Hopefully we're not done, including this year, which, as Wind and I said, Eric, last show, just feels like, if nothing else, it's back on the menu. You know what I mean?
Bro, it is very back on the menu. It is so back on the menu. I am ready. I'm making a full emotional bet.
I love it.
I'm like full on championship or bust.
I love it, man. I love to see you in this spot. And I'm really excited to watch the Nuggets play tomorrow. Perhaps famous last words, or those will also age well. Cedric Exquisite. Happy #dirty 30 to the GOAT. Say it, guys. Happy birthday, Jokic. Say it, Eric. Eric, say it. No? Okay, cool. GGX Gang HQ. Not sure if you all have seen, but the Nuggets seem to be the first or second best team in the West from all the national media shows of the last 2 weeks. Not sure if I like being back in national media talks.
If it makes you feel better, you're not.
Yeah.
They're not talking about the Nuggets at all. They're talking about the Nuggets as a way to contrast what SGA is doing.
Fair enough.
They're like all, hey, SGA is doing great. I mean, the Nuggets, you got Jokic, but like they got a lot more wins than the Nuggets. Yeah.
Cedric is everywhere.
How about that?
He's literally that's just a comment
I
about the show.
apologize. Yeah.
And then here's another thing from Cedric.
I skipped a super chat from Cedric. No, Harrison, get over here and say happy birthday, Jokic. Harrison, do it, man. Cedric is everywhere. No Kale, you not old. Good show, Vogt. Hey, Eric, happy birthday.
Thanks, man.
Not his birthday. Swatson and Holmes, all-time Nuggets chat name. Swatson and Holmes is really, really good.
Yeah.
And they said, tore my patella tendon back in January, and hearing Holmes is already back at practice is inspiring. Shout out to the kid for his dedication to rehab.
Absolutely, man.
Big time, man. We joked about him coming back this year, which won't happen, but what a good spot he's put himself in for the years to come. And not an easy spot. We just know he embraced the rehab. So shout out Duran.
Yeah, dude. Shout out science. Shout out stem cells, dude.
Shout out science as well. Rooting for both of you. We're rooting for Duran Holmes and science. Christov, I struggle with this last name.
Serbiak.
Serbiak?
That's like Wally Serbiak.
Okay, all right. Christov Serbiak. Okay, guys, do we want Bones on the Nuggets again? I don't think the Nuggets want Bones on the Nuggets again.
Man, I want Bones to get a chance so badly. I really thought that Atlanta would have been a great landing spot for him, but I kind of think that Bones is going to Europe, if they'll even have him there. Like, I think Bones really played his hand as poorly as one can play it, and he was deeply unserious, and he is a player that has immense talent, but has a big deficit, which is he's a complete defensive liability. But he could be used as a weapon, but you have to ingratiate yourself to your coaching staff and show that you're reliable, you can be counted on. And Bones has been so like childish in his approach, and you don't want to be on the short list of people who didn't make it work with Jokic. It's crazy, man. But he did make it work
Not
with
on
Jokic.
the court, he was a good player. Well, that was part of the problem, is he had to go backwards after getting this elevated role. But honestly, man, the Bones thing, he
burned it, man. There's a long road back for him that he's going to have to do a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's off the table because he is so talented. But Man, he's got to change a lot about the way that he goes about his biz.
And honestly, man, a cautionary tale for all young players, just who's around you and the type of advice you're getting can go a long way in both directions.
Yes.
So just leave it there. So Bones burned that bridge, unfortunately. I am still rooting for him to figure it out because he's talented. And I just think it's always a better story when these guys make it.
Dude, if you want to understand how badly Bones messed this up, the fact that Tim Connolly has not re-signed him.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Tells you everything you need to know.
That's a really good point.
I can't think of a single player that Tim Connolly signed that he has not re-signed at some point.
It's all the way down to Bryn Forbes.
Dude, yes!
Tim
re-signed
Connolly's
Bryn Forbes, dude.
Second Chance University over there, man.
Dude.
He still did make it work.
Bull is still on a roster.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good
Second
point.
Conley, dude.
Hey, thanks everyone for hanging out with us. It ended up being a fun show. Eric, thanks for helping me get through it, man. No, okay, my bad. I take it back. It was okay. I'm just glad we did it. You know?
Yeah, dude. Just like check it out. Like another check off the old list. Like we're all getting older, closer to 30.
Another day, another show.
Right, dude. Just like Jokic, we're all dying soon.
All right, awesome, man. Perfect note to end on. Good show, chat. We appreciate you, and we will see you tomorrow for a game, baby.
Yes, let's go.
Denver Nuggets basketball.
We're back.
We all silly like the mayor.